I just wanted to say thank you to our Commissioner, Steve Bradshaw, who's rolling off. This was his last Board of Commissioners meeting today, for his service, and he's been such a wonderful friend to Pine Lake, and really happy to have served with him.
Well, I'll go after that because I have something also having to do, not with Steve, but our Mayor Emerita, Hammett, went to that last meeting. Did you go to the meeting? Yeah. And Michael Thurman, she went up and was talking with Michael Thurman, and he told her that he had signed the contract government intergovernmental agreement. That he had signed our $2 million SPLOST agreement, and so it has happened. It has happened, and I just want to say, and as he said, that we do have Mayor Hammett to thank, as well as our previous city manager, and we really, and as well as Susan, I think, who really pushed that agreement kind of down their throats, right?
Well, I just had to kind of keep on it for a year.
Just a year, yeah, just a year. So thank you very much, Susan, and the mayor and former city manager.
Thank you. Any other council comments?
Last week, I attended the first, it was a Zoom meeting of the GMA's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council, which the whole conversation was about changing the name. Given the nature of our world today, the words diversity and equity are not good words.
Interesting. Oh, I had another one I had written down on a piece of paper I didn't bring with me, which is thanks to the council members that came and Mr. Kendrick for the opening this weekend of the chambers that we sit in. I think we had 14 residents come through, something like that. Is that what the
14,
count was?
we counted kids as a
Definitely,
body.
definitely. So that was wonderful to get a little showcase for the community of what has been the work that's been done, SPLOST dollars at work. So thank you. Any other comments, announcements? All right. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda of the day?
I move that we adopt the agenda today.
Okay, second.
A second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. Let's start with public comment. You can have 3 minutes each. Mr. Dagenhard sets a timer. Please come to the podium, say your name and your address. If
Is
anybody
the
would
microphone
care.
turned on, the podium?
Great. Okay. Seeing no public comment, let's go ahead and adopt the minutes from the regular meeting and the work session on December 10th. Is there a motion to adopt the minutes for both the regular meeting and the work session?
I move that we adopt the minutes.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Great, thanks. All right, and then we're gonna go ahead and open our public hearing for the fiscal year 2025 budget. This is the hearing we will adopt here. City Manager, would you like to say anything? I know we also have Mr. Lamont here.
Well, I'd like to say a couple of things, if I may. First of all, this may be your first time meeting Danny Lamont, who's your contracted finance director, and he does an excellent job. We've spent a lot of time getting to know each other over numbers. Councilmember Borneau was a great asset to us, especially recently. And I do want to make a comment relating to that, and I know you absolutely are. So she made some adjustments. She pointed out some things that were different. They don't affect the bottom line, but it's a matter of semantics and presentation of the budget. I guess the former city manager didn't necessarily use your new Encode software system to produce the budget. I think she used a different sort of software to do it. So that may have resulted in some of the language changes and so forth. Again, not really major, but she's given you copies of the detail. Each of you should have a revised copy.
I need to kind of let them know what this is.
Okay.
So these are the revenue summaries at the beginning of this one, it comes in at the beginning of the budget as it was stated. This is the detail of the whole thing, this is the detail of the revenue. And the third page on the detail will tell you where I've made changes, the things that are highlighted in yellow. There were it was done in Excel basically, which it's been done in before. And bottom line,
Sorry, those are all.
yeah,
him.
all
Sorry,
of them,
that's yours.
yeah,
Got it.
all three go to each person.
Gotcha.
And believe me, doing it in Excel, you have things can go awry very easily. And so there were things that were not being pulled from the right place, and there were things that were positive should be negative. In your pack, if you have your budget, you can compare those to the pages in the budget.
Okay.
And what we've changed. But as Billy just said, it doesn't change the bottom line number. So it just didn't balance. So I wasn't willing to approve a budget that didn't balance. So, and that was for a number of different reasons. So I didn't change anything in the detail other than these totals and other things at the bottom of the revenue. And I'll be changing I haven't done it yet, but I'll change the one that's on the website so that all ties. And the ones we have in the back here that people have gotten, they have these new schedules in them. So that's all.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you, Eugene.
Excuse me, so you have a balanced budget that hasn't changed. The total budget, general fund budget, is $1,141,159 as compared to last year's budget of $1,137,020. That's a difference of $4,139 over a year. Now, so you don't get too excited about that because inflationary trends would take that up. You certainly need to, and I've made this comment before, but I want to make it again and be sure that there's clear understanding. Happy to answer any questions. Danny and I have been talking about this today too. It's going to be very important that in January that you all provide priority expenditures. Staff will present to you a list of things that are not in this budget that was presented by your former city manager. So there are additions that are going to need to occur either because of commitments that you have made or may make, and commitments associated with some construction activities. And so you are definitely going to have to modify this budget. And there are two ways to do that. Look closely at your revenue estimates. We tend to focus on expenditures, which you should. You need to find things that you can reduce. But you also need to focus on your revenue side. And I'm going to leave you all with, I'll leave you with some suggestions on how you might better focus on your revenue to maximize every opportunity that you have. And they range from things like going out for proposals for banking services. Again, some of these are small amounts, but treasury management fees and other things can make a difference and give you a few dollars. Again, we talked last week, I think, about visiting the tax assessor, talk about the equity of assessments, both from the commercial and a residential side, some of the fees that DeKalb County charges you. And you can't take no for an answer. They have an obligation to sit down and talk with you and work reasonably towards solutions to those issues. Hopefully, your new city manager, who I won't name, that's your privilege, the description that I hear from him is that his organizational skills are outstanding. He's got a great grasp of finance, and when you combine his finance skills with that of Danny and the knowledge that you all have, I think that you're on the road to some progress in that area. I'm certainly aware that citizens here are very conscientious of the taxes that they pay, and I know that you're conscientious of that as well. So maybe there are ways that you can move forward and develop a plan so that you can enhance your revenue while at the same time looking at your expenditures in a way that prioritizes what you want to accomplish. So having said that, your other budget funds are in here. If I need to go over them, I'll be happy to. You, of course, let me list a few of them for you so that it's a public record. You have, in addition to your general fund, you have other governmental funds, including a debt service fund. I believe that relates to your leaf blower machine and police vehicle that you're paying GMA over over a course of time, and your lease payment's $34,337. You have no capital projects from your SPLOST 1 thing. I think those have been depleted, and as far as I know, I doubt if you're getting any additional money. You have some confiscated assets funds. Those are nominal. That's $500. You know, unless the sheriff's department is, or the police department is seizing assets of some kind, you're not going to get much money from that. Your Downtown Development Authority revenue bond is an obligation of $77,230. That's transferred from the general fund. Your SPLOST Fund 09 estimates $144,000 in collections this year. Maybe more than that. We'll see. Your ARPA fund, you had a fund balance of $140,000. We're still digging into the ARPA issue. Danny's been a great help. But we need to get some passwords and some, we may have to get some assistance from your congressional representatives to help us get into the Treasury department, to the department we need to just kind of recreate that, because we have to have it, what was it called, Ned, an authentication?
We're looking for an account identifier.
Thank you. We don't have it. Nobody's giving it to us, so we may have to recreate it. You have a McAllister Fund, which is, of course, something relating, as I understand it, to the Audubon folks, bird watching and things that promote your lake. And you have a Stormwater Management Fund, which I really hope that you'll dig into that and see why your funds are so light there. You have a number of projects, or should have, that are stormwater related. Some things, and I think you are paying some salaries out of your stormwater program. Your leaf blowing equipment and those sorts of things can come out of there. But I'm just not sure you're getting your bang for your buck. Ms. Miller estimated that you would receive $65,560, but you would overspend the fund. I would prefer that you say that's balanced at $65,560, and then you deal with any expenditures which haven't been made or planned at this point in time. Having said that, does anybody have any questions about the proposed 25 budget that I can answer?
I'll start over here. Do you have any? Oh, also, I got a text from a resident about being able to hear us well, asking if we could speak closely into the mic. So if you could try that.
Well, that actually muffles it for those of us
I
who
know,
don't hear well.
exactly.
It's a
So,
two-edged
it's a
sword
two-way
when you
street.
do that.
So I think Ned's playing with the volume a little bit. I'm getting real-time feedback of our first broadcast here, so.
That's kind of like the Elvis voice.
Exactly, or the Wizard of Oz. All right, anyway.
The accounts that we don't have access to, can we not just ask our former city manager for that?
Can you not what?
Just ask our former senator.
We have.
We have. We're working on it. But in the meantime, we've got a backup plan, which is recreate the account. Right?
I guess I just don't understand.
No,
Mhm.
yes, I'm sorry, we have.
It
we'll
is-
continue to
It
attempt.
is a question.
It is.
Okay.
Yes.
Are there any other questions I can answer about the 25 budget?
I don't have any questions. I've spoken kind of at length with both Mr. Beckett and Jean about, or Councilmember Bordeaux, about the balancing specifically. So I just want to say thank you to Mayor Pro Tem for diving into that more deeply and adamantly looking at how to make sure it's balanced. So I appreciate that, and I look forward to taking an even deeper dive with a budget amendment once we have a newly seated city manager in January and make the adjustments that we might need.
May I invite Mr. Lamont? Is there anything you'd like to say to him?
Great, thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members. Just want to say I'm excited about the opportunity to be able to assist you guys with your finances and also the budget. I'm coming in at the optimal time, I guess, for the budget. So, but just be reassured. I've worked with finances and local government for 20 years, and any issues that may come up, I've probably dealt with them. So that's a good thing. And I just look forward to working with you guys in the future.
Great. Thank you so much,
Thanks.
Mr. Lamont.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Danny.
Any comments this direction?
No.
Okay, great. I'm going to open it up then for public comment, since it's a public hearing. If anybody would care to speak? Okay, seeing none, is the action here, we do this in the public hearing to go ahead and make a motion to adopt the budget as presented? Okay. Is there a motion to adopt the budget as presented?
I make a motion that we adopt the budget as presented.
Okay,
I
Bordeaux.
second that.
Ramsey seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Great, great work, y'all. Thank you so much to the three of y'all specifically for really diving in and making this happen against all odds. So, thank you. Okay, moving on to new business. We've got a pretty exciting agenda ahead of us. That's a really nerdy thing to say, probably. But the first thing on the agenda here is the appointment of Mr. Stanley Hawthorne as our new city manager. So I guess the way we'll do this is first make a motion to approve the contract to appoint Mr. Hawthorne, then we'll open for discussion and then take a vote.
I'll make the motion to approve the contract for Mr. Stanley Hawthorne.
Wonderful.
I'll second.
Okay, great. Any discussion?
I was very impressed for the public that wasn't able to hear him speak. I feel very good about him being our new city manager. And it just felt like a big weight was lifted because we were sweating. And
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. I also want to say just thank you so much to Mr. Beckett for stepping in and manning the helm for this last few months, even with your arms tied behind your back at times. So you've done great, and it's been such a pleasure to work with you. And I'm just so excited about the prospect of Mr. Hawthorne stepping into our little city. I think it speaks volumes that we were able to attract such an incredible and qualified candidate in our tiny little micropolitan municipality. And I think that just speaks a lot to the values and the uniqueness of our community. And I'm really excited about having him step in. I think we're going to do great things together. So, any other discussion?
I second that.
Yeah.
I would just add that he was not the only candidate. We had numerous candidates to choose from, which was, again, I think, feedback to the attractiveness of working in this community and the opportunity it presents.
Agreed. All right. Well, if there's no other discussion. All in favor of appointing Mr. Stanley Hawthorne as our next city manager?
Aye.
Aye.
Yay! All right. Yes. And he's in Florida, so I told him don't bother coming for
He
this
might be
3
watching.
minutes. He might be watching. He probably is. Hello, Mr. Hawthorne. Yeah, the travel times and all those other things. So moving on to the second item here, which is the appointment of Mr. Chris Balch as our city attorney. Just to tee this up, as council's aware, Mr. Balch came highly recommended from both our previous city attorney, Laurel Henderson, and our current city attorney, Susan Moore, which I think will be a huge asset to the city that he has access to our two previous city attorneys. Of the many candidates that both I and Mr. Beckett spoke with, he just shined as the one that was the right fit for the city. So with that, is there a motion to approve the agreement to appoint Mr. Chris Balch as our city attorney?
I move that we approve Mr. Chris Balch as our city attorney.
All right, second?
Second?
Okay, board of seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Mr. Goldberg, did you vote?
Yes.
Okay, great. Wonderful.
I didn't raise my hand, I said aye.
Okay, thank you. All right. Yay, I feel so much relief. This is wonderful. All right, the next item of business is the appointment of Ms. Ansley Sluss for Public Defender. Do we have anything? Yeah, please do.
The city apparently has not had a public defender, which is amazing, as I'm sure Susan can tell you. That's a right that a defendant in litigation has, even at the misdemeanor level. You haven't had one. You did have some people who stepped up and did it on a pro bono basis, and that I know has gone on for at least a year and a half. This is an example of one of the things that you'll have to add in when you do your budget amendment. Ms. Sluss appeared at one of the last court sessions and by all accounts did an excellent job. So Stephanie, the court clerk, asked me to chat with her, which I did, and she's very well qualified, as you'll see by her summary of her resume that she's provided to you. But she's not going to do all 24 sessions. You have 24 sessions in a year, but she's going to divide them up so that she's going to do half of them. Now, however she does that, I don't know. I don't really care. But the cost is going to be $300 a month, basically, as a retainer, or $3,600 a year. But that is a bargain. If she has to sit there all day, I think, how many cases did you have in that last session?
Wow.
55 tickets, just under 40 cases.
It's a lot of time sitting around waiting, that they have to do. So in any event, I recommend Ms. Ansley Sluss for the position of public defender for the court of Pine Lake.
Great, thank you, Mr. Beckett. Is there a motion to approve the appointment of Ms. Ansley Sluss as our public defender?
I move we appoint Mrs. Ansley Sluss as our public defender.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Can I just ask a question? So, the retainer, is for her?
Well, it's her fee. I say retainer, I know sometimes you pay a
Yeah,
retainer.
I understand, but I'm
bad
just, the amount that we're paying her, is that for her to be here, and would, if she then has to try a case, then there's additional cost?
No.
Or that takes care of
$300.
all of it? Okay.
Wow.
She was happy to get it.
Okay. And I guess just a clarification, maybe Ned can help us with this. So aren't some court dates have trials and some don't? Isn't that true? I mean,
Yes, ma'am.
would
Yeah, so we have 2 court sessions a month, and one is an arraignment. And so any individuals that attend that court session and plead not guilty, meaning they would like to contest the citation, they show up to the next court session, and that's when Ms. Sluss would represent them if they meet the criteria to
So
have
would
a
it-
court-appointed attorney.
would it be necessary for her to be at the arraignment court? I mean, does she need to be at every court hearing, or only the ones that we have trials?
In my opinion, observing court, she would only need to be at the trial, because it's not, I don't believe, standard procedure for a public defender to meet with their client way ahead of the court date.
Arraignment, yeah.
Is that
Okay.
accurate?
Which is
Does
what
that
you're
sound
speaking.
right?
I'm
She-
sorry.
Yeah, okay.
And that's what you were speaking to, Mr. Beckett, how she'll be on every other half of the sessions, essentially.
She won't be there for the arraignments, but she will
Okay.
be there for the trial.
Thank you.
Okay.
Great.
Just,
Any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, great, wonderful. So, moving right along. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the contractual agreement with professional probation services. City manager.
Well, basically, Susan's reviewed the contract for form and sufficiency and recommended some changes, which they agreed to. This is your current misdemeanor probation service. I don't know exactly how long they've been doing it, but I think for quite a while. Yeah, and so actually the misdemeanor pays for this. So there's no city funds that's going actually to pay the probation service. It's the person who's found guilty and has penalties imposed.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the contractual agreement with the professional probation services?
Go ahead.
I move that we approve the contract for probation, supervision, and rehabilitation services.
Great, is there a second? Bordeaux seconds. Any discussion? Questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving right along. The next item here on the agenda is a 1-month extension of the contractual agreement with our special projects manager, Mr. Bernard Kendrick. So as y'all are probably aware, Mr. Kendrick's current contract was set to expire at the end of this year, December 31st, and he has graciously agreed to extend it for another month while we're figuring out the budget adjustments that need to happen and how things might be allocated from the new SPLOST and things like that. So with that, is there a motion to extend the contractual agreement with Special Projects Manager, Mr. Kendrick?
I'll make a motion to extend the contractual agreement for additional month.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? All right, I just want to say thank you so much, Mr. Kendrick, for all the value you've brought so far, and I look forward to continuing this.
Thank you so much.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you. Okay, next item, really moving along here. The PTSD insurance for police officers. Mr. Beckett.
Feel like a yo-yo. The Georgia legislature passed and Governor Kemp signed into law a requirement that all local government entities and probably all state entities as well provide post-traumatic stress disorder insurance for their employees, and as I understand it now, including their volunteer people, in our case, the reserve officers. And GMA and ACCG went together to provide this service, and it's not just for police officers. I'd like to clarify that. If we had a fire department or if we had animal control, whatever we had that was a law enforcement function, you would have to provide this for them. And the rate is $148 per year per employee who's eligible. We have a total of 15 employees who presumably are eligible. We have one employee, however, who is a volunteer, but also an employee of another jurisdiction, DeKalb County specifically. There's also some special treatment for employees who volunteer with other agencies as to who's going to cover that individual. And that's something that the insurance provider through GMA will tell us. I've submitted all the data. Thanks to the chief, we were able to get all the required information, and I submitted it today. And so we're just waiting on a quote now. But at 148, I should have done the math. I had it and left it back in the office, I think. But you're talking about from a minimum, I think, of if the reserve officers stay, if they don't kick them out. You would be talking about a minimum of 13 and a maximum of 15 employees at $148 per year.
Okay.
You have the opportunity every 6 months to change it because of terminations, transfers, other things happen. So your premium can go up and down. They charge you, I believe, 50% of the year, and then they charge you for the other 50%. I will be leaving the new city manager the information as to how to access the sites. Okay.
Okay.
But I'd like to ask you to approve the agreement with GMA, ACCG when the contract comes in. This goes into effect in law on January 1st, so the sooner we can, and you won't meet again. So that's why I'm asking for authority, either from me or for you, Mayor, to execute the agreement with GMA for this program.
Thank you. Okay, is there a motion to grant Mr. Beckett the authority to execute the agreement for the PTSD insurance?
Maybe we should just make that the city manager, because it,
Yep, you're right, city manager. Okay,
I make a motion that
Or
we
either.
authorize the city manager to execute the contract with GMA ACCG.
okay. Second?
Second?
Okay, 4 seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Did you have
I
discussion?
did. I did
Oops, sorry, back that
one
out.
question.
Rewind.
And so this is not reflected in the budget that we just approved, correct? So we'll need to make an amendment.
This will be one of the
To cover
amendments.
Another example of
Mhm.
what we need to do next year. Now, if for some reason we were billed this year prior to December the 31st, you have some line items in the budget that aren't expended, and we would simply look at that and try to find the money in the line items that you have existing in your budget to make the payment. Danny can help me with the transfers and be sure that we make, that's something else you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to make adjustments on your 2024, your current budget, probably after the first of the year also. So you'll be doing dual work in January.
Great, thank you. Okay, let's try that again. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, the next item here are the out-of-scope recommendations, improvements to the courthouse. Mr. Kendrick.
Good afternoon, everybody. And thanks for my extension. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
You have, as promised last meeting, the final report for the courthouse renovation. There were the difference between what I call a complementary improvements and out of scope. The complementary improvements were things that I viewed that were per the plan and that had to be done in order to accomplish, the primary purpose of the project. The out-of-scope things are things that were uncovered that I felt were outside of what the actual plan were that, they needed to be done, but I figured that we should come back and get authorization. But I would note that I highly recommend getting those done. Some of the things, and those are listed, the additional subfloor blocking of the floor joists for the conference room and the bathroom. Same issue that we had out here that need to be done back there, but like I said, they were beyond the primary scope of the work. This conference room ceiling is splitting. What we did, because we added additional insulation, we had to basically shore it up. But as I say, it does need to be addressed. The awning outside of the police department is in disrepair, and it does need to be addressed. The chief had some outstanding issues with maybe security installation with the building, not only inside of the courtroom during session, but also in the surrounding area. Keyless door access, that was also some things that security-wise that needed to be addressed. Regarding these meetings, the court administrator, what do you call Stephanie? Court clerk. With our new AV package, there was a recording module that wasn't anticipated that basically needs to be addressed for a particular legal purpose regarding transcripts for the session. Also, winterization of the building. We did all these improvements, with the HVAC and the energy efficiency of the building, that we need to go that next step further to tighten the envelope of the building so that we can see some savings on those other improvements that we did, and also duct cleaning. You know, we did go through that today with some folks that we need for the health and safety of not only the occupants, the daily occupants of the building, but also the visitors that come. We need to go ahead and address those. Those total proposed improvements, as I say, I did get, estimates, upset limits on those, $34,789.77. That also provided you a project summary cost, and this is to date. The SPOS allocation for this project was $270,000, of which the design fee for TSW was $20,000. So the project budget for this project was $250,000. The actual expenses, including the complementary improvements that we did, was $168,329. So that projected savings was around $81,671. So these proposed out-of-scope improvements landed about $34,789.77, which would bring the final project cost to $203,118.77, and you still have a surplus and savings of $46,881.23.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mr. Kendrick. It's apparent your hard work and your expertise pays off.
Thank you.
In a city. I did have one additional thing I'd love to add in after speaking to Councilmember Goldberg. We were discussing adding lighting to the city administrative building so that there's light on the parking lot out here at night.
Okay.
Do you have, yeah.
No.
Oh, it looked like you had a thought about that. Yeah, so I would just say maybe we can get an estimate for that and approve it either separately or as part of the scope, since it's part of the function of the work
You
that
want me
happens
to
here.
come back when with the new city manager and address those? Because I just had a thought that I didn't clean, the parking lot, I didn't, and the stairwell, because I was thinking about this as the courthouse complex, for SPLOST purposes.
Right,
So-
right.
So that we could address all of that,
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Beckett, you,
Just a thought, we still have a spotlight to light up the parking lot behind City Hall for safety and security reasons. I've already met with Georgia, this is where I'm going with this. I'm going to rely on the expert. But all of Georgia's houses, we have a pole, and the pole, if we needed one, was gonna cost $800.
Okay.
And then they're gonna supply the light, it's basically a floodlight, so we light that area up at nighttime or early morning. And all we're gonna have to pay is a monthly fee for the light. So I don't
Great.
know if something like that would work back there or not. I'll defer to the expert on that, but I know that should work at the parking lot at City Hall, and maybe it'll work here too.
okay, great. So with that, I would say to council, is there a motion to approve the out-of-scope recommended improvements to the courthouse, including the additional lighting as part of the municipal court complex, assuming it doesn't go over our surplus of $46,000? Seems
What-
seems unlikely.
Can I make a recommendation?
Yes, please.
Since we were talking about, I do have estimates to repair those steps that come down there, and to resurface, not resurface, to re-gravel the parking lot down there. Can we authorize it to be $43,000?
Okay,
That
and that
would-
would include lighting and those
Yeah.
additional repairs?
Yes.
Okay. So then is there a motion for council to approve the out-of-scope recommended improvements up to $43,000?
Just one more question.
Oh, yeah.
What about the generator that we need for this building?
Is an,
Is
Mr.
that,
Beckett,
Kind of an ongoing conversation, your generator is not gonna make it.
right,
They don't wanna repair it now, they can't get parts. I was told this is third, fourth GIS and communications going on there that need power. So to me, that's the need, not so much the radio communication, but the other activities that do require you to have electricity for the police department. Now here it would be an inconvenience, but thanks to you, I was informed that the clubhouse occasionally functions as a shelter for people when power goes out in the city. So maybe maybe you don't need that monster. Plus it doesn't start. You gotta have somebody out there cranking that sucker up. And those kinds of generators require a lot of maintenance and attention. So, but maybe you just ought to authorize him to look into finding a generator that would be acceptable for the purposes that you want it to. Not everything, but maybe the police department and the clubhouse. If you're gonna continue to use that as a shelter. But absolutely, the chief and I were talking, because wasn't sure, you know, that, but, you know, with the communication system that they just require power. So, yeah, you can add it on, but it could be a separate item. I had said originally, I'm half senile, but I'm pretty sure I mentioned that would be another, couple weeks ago, another thing for your budget amendment
Yes.
coming up, because the price that we got from two firms, I think, was $22,000 to replace this and everything that it would do. But this
Okay.
thing,
It's a monster.
You just need to get one that's good for your purposes.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
beyond what we need.
Do we have natural gas service at this building
No, I don't believe, into that one?
that could feed that generator?
That's a diesel.
We do, there is gas in the city, but that's a diesel.
Okay, I know there is gas in, I mean, I have a gas generator, natural gas generator
Yeah,
at
it's
my
actually,
house.
it's a gas, line that runs back there, because we're doing some research for that other lady. Yeah, probably, yeah, so, we do have access to natural gas.
It might be something to look into, the Generac
That's
natural
the-
gas generators or,
That's the estimate that we got.
okay.
Yeah, the electrician that was working on this building is a certified Generac, installer. So he was,
Good to know.
yeah.
Great.
You know all the right people.
I know.
So, yeah, I would just say that we need to look into that and look into, especially for the police department, if that's what the emergency, I mean, if we need that for the emergency, but I think we need to look at how much we're spending on so many other things, and it was really nice to have a warming station, have people be able to come in here, that it's not a necessary thing that we need to do at this point. I mean, that's not our, I don't think that we have to replace that function. We got a lot of other things to spend money on, so.
So with that, I appreciate the thinking there, Councilmember Ramsey, of grouping with the municipal complex. And maybe we go ahead and approve the scope as presented up to 43,000, so it can do the stairs and the
I think it was 46.
46,000. Okay.
Mayor, real quick. Since we're doing a security camera installments, we had talked about doing a security installment at City Hall as well. Is that possible to roll into this if they're coming to?
I have a price I think you might want to do. You know, we've got the EMC camera system that we're waiting on. We wanted to do it all at once. I got a tree that I'm having evaluated by an arborist because it's dropping limbs like crazy. And it's gonna fall on a car if not on somebody's head. We got the cameras, we got a quote on that, it's very reasonable. But I would wanna be sure that you got the camera system that would work best for this, or unique for the placement. But yes, we could probably piggyback it in. I've got the guy's card from EMC, and we've got the contact guy from Georgia Power too on the other thing. So yeah, you could roll it into that, or maybe you want another kind of system since the police department's involved.
I have another
Yeah.
question. Chief, I have never seen anybody walk on those stairs. Do you use those stairs
Well, when that building was, when we were using that building,
when it was a city hall?
then we used the stairs a lot more, but we do use it on occasion when it's time forecourt. So it is, it's a, and
question.
So,
Yes.
so we've had a lot of, what about this, what about this?
Mhm.
Can we just go ahead and consider this with the idea that these other things, let's get some more information on, get some estimates,
Yep.
and handle those separately? But
That's-
could they be, since they're part, they would be covered under some of the savings?
Yeah, that's
from here.
exactly what I was thinking, and I think that it, there's also a question of how broad of a definition is the municipal complex. If it's part of the court complex, and we did the SPLOST referendum that sort of named this building, and I think it's an easy leap of logic to include the parking lot as part of the function of this. But then if we start including the clubhouse and the city admin building, I'm not sure that that is, really follows the definition there, so, yeah.
But we
Yeah,
could
so I
s-
think more
But we could still
information.
do the generator under the SPLOST, with those SPLOST funds.
Yeah, for
any
this
leftover.
building.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think we need more information
Yes.
for that. So I think let's approve it as is, if there's a motion for that, with the additional up to 46,000 for the changes for the stairs and lights and things that we discussed. And is there a motion for that? You can restate it.
I'll move that we approve the expenditure of additional funds up to $46,000 for out-of-scope improvements to the municipal complex.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Kendrick.
Okay, and I would say, work will start tomorrow.
Love to hear it.
You smiled as you said that. You smiled as you said that.
Thank you. Well, I told the chief to be prepared to be put out for the rest of the week, so.
At least it's closing, the wind down season for a second. Okay, moving on to the next one. I assume this is probably you as well, so you might as well stay. The acceptance of the withdrawal for the awarded contract on Oak Road.
Yeah, we, this, actually, we didn't, there was no recommendation or there was no award. What we were doing, talking with the engineer, evaluating this bid, when we determined that the bidder didn't meet the actual level of expertise to accomplish the project. Actually, they didn't actually bid the project correctly. So we didn't want to put the city in a position of awarding the contract and they're submitting change orders. And so, in the discussions, we determined, and I met with Mr. Beckett on this, that it would be in their best interest and our best interest if they would consider a withdrawal, and they agreed. So they submitted a withdrawal.
Okay,
So
great. So we'll start with a motion and a second and then discussion. Is there a motion to accept the withdrawal for the Oak Road contract? Or,
I move that we
bid.
accept the withdrawal of the awarded contract for Oak Road.
And you were saying that's it's not an awarded contract, it was
No.
a submitted bid.
they were,
Okay.
the bid was under evaluation.
Okay,
Um,
gotcha.
And, it's back and forth, and, when it all came down, we determined that they couldn't actually accomplish the project. They didn't bid correctly.
Okay, great. So can we revise that motion to accept the withdrawal of the submitted bid for Oak Road?
I guess I'm a little confused. Why do you have to, if it wasn't awarded, why do we have to withdraw? I mean, they just bid on it.
I think it
Don't we
would,
just not accept the bid? I mean, I don't understand.
They also were the recommended bidder by Clark Patterson Lee as well.
Do you
my
wanna-
thought on this is just tying it off, and that way, it's, because, let me put it this way, if we were to go forward, they were doing change orders, then the second bidder would actually be protesting, and I didn't want to put the city in that position. So, like I said, we came back and we discussed this before it went any further toward award, and made the determination, along with the bidder, that they would withdraw. The bid was insufficient, determined, and so, we don't need to go any further with them.
Okay.
just to give you an idea of the disparity, I believe, I'm talking from memory now, so don't hold me to these precise numbers, but I believe the bid was for 77,000.
About 74.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and the next lowest bidder was 200 and
200 and
Right.
200
Yeah,
plus.
which
and
is,
then the next bidder was even more than that.
Right.
So
Mhm.
it was unsustainable that they were gonna do it for $77,000.
Right.
Mhm. That makes sense. Okay, so, thank you for the
Mhm.
context there. So is there a motion to accept the withdrawal of the submitted bid for Oak Road?
I move that we accept the withdrawal of the submitted bid for Oak Road.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, is there any more discussion?
And just to be sure, they're not seeking any kind of compensation, there's no funds being transferred.
Mm-mm.
So I am curious about that, though, because in the scope of this process, we've withheld doing any work based on accepting that bid. And so at some point in the future, is it possible for us, is it something we can do that when we have a situation where we've lost time and money, in essence, by not getting this work done, that they actually can compensate us for that process?
As far as I know, we didn't have an actual contract with them, is that
So-
correct?
But I'm asking, in a
Yeah.
contractual setting, is that something that we can include in our contracts? That
You
if,
mean in the
based
bid
on,
documents? You mean in the bid documents?
yeah.
Well,
I mean, because we've lost, let's say this was
yeah.
contracted, we've lost X number of
Well,
months.
had it been contracted, that would have been different, I
Mhm.
think, had that happened. But, you know, and I guess, I mean, did we have bid bonds on this? I mean,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
but all that's been returned to the bidder.
That's in the process of being returned.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, that would be an option, but if this vendor doesn't have that capacity, then they don't have the capacity for that. I mean,
Mhm.
I hear what you're saying, but that would probably be the path to go, would be, you know, to try to call their bid bond,
Mhm.
Okay,
they take their bond.
Thank you.
thanks.
Okay, all in favor?
Just
Oh,
one
one
question,
more
will this
question.
now be awarded to the second bidder?
Mm-mm.
What's the plan?
Well, standard procedure that I've been dealt with is that we could negotiate with the second bidder, and they are willing to negotiate. There still remains some other additional questions that I think it would be in our best interest to sit down with the second bidder to discuss and seeing how we could move forward. It could go one or two ways if we decide to, accept them as presented. I'm pretty sure with the way everything, normally in the construction world, about January, everybody's pricing is going up. And what I've been told around the industry now, to expect like a 20% increase on materials. That's just being conservative. So I wouldn't be surprised if, he would come back and say, yes, I could do the project, but I'm gonna put 20% on it, that type of thing.
Mhm.
Or we could look at rescoping the project within the confines of awards to the second bidder.
Okay, I'm just looking at what's the remedy for the Oak Road residents who've been in this situation for years, and, how long is this process gonna take?
Considering where we are, I would say we could have a resolution, was the first meeting in January, with the discussions, and be able at the next work session come and walk you through
That'd be great.
what our thoughts would be, and then, have a recommendation for award or whatever, rebid by the next meeting after that.
Great.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Kendrick. Okay, let's try again. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Keep jumping the horse here. Okay. The adoption of the 2025 City Council meeting calendar. You can see this in your agenda packet. I wanted to just call out, this is the regular meeting schedule, which is the second Tuesday and the last Tuesday format, so it's sticking with that. But typically,
Bless
we
you.
cancel the final meeting of the year that happens between Christmas and New Year's. So I'd like to recommend that we do that, the one that's scheduled for December 30th, 2025. Do you see it?
So if we do that, do we want to put an earlier meeting? I mean, we always do budgets at this time. We
Mhm.
always are in a crunch
Mhm.
to do it. I mean, I agree, we don't really want to be doing it between Christmas and New Year's, but
Mhm.
I think it would be a good idea to replace it, just like we did this year.
So should we do it on the second and the third Tuesday like we did this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
So I don't know, I can look and see what that specific actual, thank you, on it. Okay, so December 16th, 2025, and that would be a regular meeting. Right, okay. Any other thoughts on this before we make a motion? Okay, is there a motion to approve the calendar as amended with the last meeting of the year falling on December 16th, 2025?
I move we accept the calendar as amended with the meeting change of December 16, 2024, and canceling December 30th meeting.
Thank you. Is there a second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Wow, y'all. Moving right along. The request by city manager to close City Hall at noon on December 31st.
Well, if I may open by saying I hope that you'll grant me just a few minutes at the end of your meeting. I promise not to prolong it, but this is my last council meeting, and I have a few things that I'd like to say to you if I could.
Please.
But, yeah, I don't think it's any secret that I'm an advocate for employees who work hard for the city and do things that are often unappreciated and unrewarded in some ways as well. And I think that there are some things that you can do along the way that don't necessarily, I know there's an intangible cost associated with things like closing City Hall, I get that. But I think it's a little thing. This time of year, there's usually not a rush to do things. We don't get the doors beat down around Christmas time, and we don't get them beat down until after the first of the year. Things just slow down, in my opinion. It's been that way almost everywhere I've ever been. And so I would just like to recommend the small thing of giving the employees the ability to close City Hall on the 31st so that they can enjoy whatever they're planning on doing that afternoon and that evening.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Does council move to approve the request by the city manager to close City Hall at noon on the 31st of December?
I motion that we approve.
Okay, second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Can we just give them the whole day off? It just seems kind of silly to have people come in for 3 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, if
close
they just
it
have the whole
entirely.
day off, is that okay with everyone?
Mr. Beckett, is there
We,
any normal course of work that takes place on that last day of the year that we need to get done relative to ARPA funds or anything else that has to get out?
Well, December the 31st is the magic deadline for a lot of things. My termination, Susan's termination, technically. ARPA is due on the 31st. His contract was due on the 31st, but now it's been pushed forward. The short answer is no. If we don't have the ARPA thing solved before then, we're in serious trouble.
Yeah.
And I can assure you that I literally have lost sleep over it, and Danny can tell you that I've been driving him crazy. Ned, I've had everybody running around trying to resolve this problem. And I do know that the former city manager, and I'm not second guessing her, we're just trying to be doubly sure. She presented to you that the money is in your general fund. What made me nervous was two things. One is you heard your auditor say that you can't just do general things, you've got to do specific things. And he has said the same thing. So we're actually going on a secondary thing, not to second guess her, but we just want, what's the word that we talk
Trust
about?
but
We just wanna
verify.
verify, yeah, we trust but verify, so we're just trying to verify. But we have to get some information directly from ARPA, but I promise you, if we don't do it by before then, we are in trouble. You know, but we're doing I assure you that we're doing everything possible to get into that account so that we know. And we're taking every possible look at it so that we don't lose not one penny. And you know what? The whole thing is, she may be 110% right. We're just not sure.
Can she access that account?
Pardon me?
Does the former city manager have
We've
that?
We've asked her. I don't know if
Does she
she's
have that
lost the
information?
codes. We've checked with her a number of ways, and we're trying to do it now independently. Yeah. And please, that's all I'd like to say about
Okay.
that subject right now. We're trying to get into the ARPA fund, and we'll exhaust every remedy to do so, including contacting congressional people.
Two congressional offices.
Amazing.
I feel good about it.
So all that to say, December 31st is somewhat a big day.
It's almost everywhere I've ever been has been a dead day.
Mhm.
Many places just shut down on the 31st, but it's your decision. I'm requesting on behalf of the employees. Little things mean a lot, and to me, this is a little thing, but I hear you. You know, it's not a little thing to a citizen who might have something to do on the 31st, but I think that's pretty rare.
Great, thank you.
And if
Thank
need be, on the 31st, I'll leave my phone number with one of you all, and if somebody wants something at City Hall, I'll drive back up here and take care of it.
All right. Ms. Bordeaux.
Are we in discussion?
Yeah, we're in
Want-
discussion.
Okay.
Did we motion?
Yeah,
We did,
I
okay.
mean, I hear what you're saying, and I think it would be good to have people there. I think a half day makes some sense, but I don't think we want to add. I mean, in essence, that's adding another holiday to the calendar, and I would say that would just be my opinion. I would say no. I'd rather do half day. That would be fine with me.
I concur with Councilmember Bordeaux.
Yeah, half day, yes, good.
Mr. Goldberg?
I think a half day is fine.
Okay. All in favor of the request by the city manager to close City Hall at noon on December 31st?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
great. All right, the last item on the agenda, which is the approval of the lease and maintenance agreement for the copier scanner, City Hall and Police Department. This beloved copier.
I'll tell you, you have two copiers that are in equal to or worse than condition as your generator. They can't service them anymore. They've been there for years, and both of them, they just can't service them. So that's a problem because you know how much paper we put out, as does she. So we went out and solicited bids, and we had 3 bids. And mostly, I think Missy and, were you involved in that, or did she just a little bit? And Ned was a little bit, but, so we got these, and 2 of the bids I thought were very competitive. And neither of them are Canon, which is who our vendor is now, even though those machines are Sharp copiers, I believe. But I wanted to point something out to you. The reason that I think Ned particularly, and you correct me if I'm speaking wrong, felt that and Missy, felt that the $280.16 a month lease agreement for both machines, one in the police department, one in admin, would provide the best customer service and the best response. Although I will say when I reviewed it, the response times were fairly equal, it seemed to me. But they had, if it counts, they had good feelings about the salesman. One of the advantages that Missy cited particularly was that EGP which is the 28016. They were not the lowest bid by any means, but they weren't the highest either. But they were going to give you 2,000 copies a month, but the 2,000 copies a month equate, if the other charges after that are 0.008 cents per copy, that only works out to $16. Okay, so in adjusting this 28016 and the 290 and the 221 to charge them for that, since they're not providing that, there's a difference of $25 a month between the two machines is what it works out to be. I would recommend, and Susan, I hope that you would have time to do this. I'm accustomed to seeing annual appropriation of funds clauses in any contractual agreement with that kind of equipment, which basically means every year you have to approve the funding for the equipment. And if you try it for a year with the guy who they seem to like, you like them, right? You like the customer service and the responsiveness. You can try it for a year. If they're still satisfied, we keep the machine and life moves on to the next year at that particular rate. If you don't like them, you say, come get your equipment. We're going to go back out to bid again, you know, and you plan for that. So I would ask you to approve EGP Document Solutions proposal for a Kyocera copier at a cost of $280.16 per month, a lease copy, plus the additional costs for printing over and above that and color printers and all that stuff they build into the contract, with the condition that they are agreeable to accept an annual appropriation of funds clause as provided by the city attorney. If they're not, then I would say we'll go to after that we would go to AOT Solutions. But the same thing, I would encourage you going forward, anytime you get into these things, that you insert that clause into your contract.
Yeah, I mean, it's required under 366013 for a legal contract, and if it's not there, truthfully, the city could walk away. It's for their benefit. Because the statute tells you it has to have an annual appropriation provision, and, you know, if it's not there, the city literally could say, you know better, or you should have known better, and we're out of here. Most people don't like to contract that way because it's not considered very forthright or nice, but it is technically legal.
Yeah,
Great.
that's the way it is.
Is your
But I
mic
prefer
on?
to be upfront with the contractors or the vendors and let them know.
Thank you. Okay, so is there a motion to approve the lease and maintenance agreement for the EGP document solution with the amendment that we add the appropriation of funds clause in the contract?
So moved.
Okay, second? Okay, discussion?
That's the easy one.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Congratulations, y'all. Let's open it up for public comments, and then we'll move on to reports and other business. Any public comment? All right, seeing no public comment, we'll move on to reports and other business. I'll start. I want to just say, first of all, thank you so much to our incredible hardworking staff. We have so many incredible people and very limited resources, specifically time. And I think we're able to accomplish an incredible amount of work as the team that we are. And that is so largely dependent on the heart and effort of our tireless and incredible staff. So I just want to say thank you so much. And Ned, thank you for arranging for the broadcast and for real-time receiving feedback. I think the consensus on my phone is that residents are hearing us well now, so that's exciting. I think council has a lot to celebrate on this particular meeting as we wrap the year. It's been a very tumultuous 6 months as we've kind of tried to figure out what the next iteration of our city management looks like. I want to just extend a humongous thank you Beckett. Sorry. Yeah, it's just been really a lot, and I just really appreciate your guidance and your
Give me a few
your
minutes when
expertise.
You guys finish, please.
It's been a pleasure to work with you. Thank you so much for being here. And to Susan, thank you. It's been an amazing few years working with you. Thank you for all that you've done for the city. Your legacy is felt, so appreciate it. I did not think I was gonna cry, sorry y'all, for broadcast. So,
It's a test.
That's okay.
yeah, there we go. I think you guys can be really proud of yourselves. You've accomplished a lot this year, so thank you to the council, the elected body here, for all of the effort and work and love that you've poured into this so far this year, and I look forward to another great year ahead. All right,
You're here.
council comments.
I'll start. I would like to personally thank both of you on your last council meeting here. You've both been inspirations. Your love for city government and Pine Lake specifically rivals my own, and I live here. And I just thank you. You've taught me so much in my first year, and I will always remember the both of you and appreciate what you've shared with me. So thank you.
Well, ditto on all of those things for all of Ned, Billy, Susan, Mr. Kendrick, Danny, our new, we haven't gotten started very far, but we're getting there. But I also wanted to thank Councilman Jeff Goldberg, who is now going to take over the news brief, and actually did take over the news brief last time and send it out, and did it very well. And I'm really excited that you're taking it. So thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Oh, yes, and I want to thank all the staff for your hard work and doing a tremendous job under so many issues we've had to deal with in the last year. I wanted to thank our Chief Green. You've done a lot. You've been a good source for me when there's a lot of issues to deal with, and we really appreciate all the hard work that you put in. And I'm just looking forward to a new year, and we're gonna miss everybody that's leaving very much. So thank you again.
I'll just say ditto to all the thank yous. It's been quite the year, and the learning curve is still going. But I'm learned one of the things is that it really doesn't take one of us; it takes all of us.
Yeah.
And that's everyone in the room and those not in the room to make this work in Pine Lake. I think we have. I feel really proud of the things we've done this year. I mean, the fact that we're broadcasting is, I mean, that's pretty cool. And sitting in this chambers, again, Mr. Kendrick, wow, that's huge. And then and it's still not done because you found other ways with the money you've saved to continue with that and fix something like a generator, which is so necessary. I would also throw out that one of the things we didn't do well this year, I think, was town hall meetings. And I know we've had one that I know of, I think, this year, and I want to challenge us to do that quarterly for this in 2025.
Once again, thank you, Mr. Beckett. Thank you, Susan, for everything you've done, putting us back on track, taking care of us for so long. Thank you, Chief, for the virtual code enforcement tour today. I really enjoyed that time. Mr. Kendrick, I can't say enough. This building is fabulous. The Eastern Wetlands is starting to look better and better and better. The bridge is underway. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ned, for everything you've done, getting us live today. That's a thing I wasn't anticipating before the first of the year. I'm glad to see that happen. Thank you to my colleagues up here. It's been a great year working with you. One piece of business, I noticed in Mr. Balsh's introduction letter that he's representing Brookhaven and some other cities in a suit against DeKalb County for assessments of commercial properties. I would surely like to see Pine Lake join that suit sooner rather than later. So something we can talk to about as early in January as possible.
Great.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Mr. Beckett, did you have your last meeting with us?
Yeah.
Yeah, my last collective meeting with all of you all. I just, I have a habit of all the communities that I've served, I don't think there's been a single community that I haven't fallen in love with. And the same is true with Pine Lake. From the first time that I met Chiquillas and the mayor at the beach house, I knew that this was a special community, and I'd hoped that I would be selected to step in and try to do a few things to help to build on the fantastic platform that actually was built before my arrival. No question about it. But I want each one of you to know individually and collectively that you have honored me in so many ways to give me an opportunity to spend this time with you. There are things that, I don't have many regrets, but I do have a few regrets that we didn't accomplish anything. I think the one regret that I have in particular with the list of things that we had to do as a team was the Oak Road situation. I think if we look back at the other things, we cleared up most of the things that were pending from the Klein termination. That's been put to bed now, to the wetlands issue, to, I wish we'd had the $2 million so that we could have started on the dam and those sorts of things. But by and large, I think I didn't sink the ship. I hope I kept it steady. That's one of the goals of an interim manager is don't sink the ship. So I hope I didn't sink it. And but I've enjoyed my relationship with each and all of you. It's been a special time here, and I hope to come back and see all the great things that are going to occur. I have the utmost confidence in Stanley. We go back. We were surprised when the mayor and I were talking to him that he and I know some of the same people from Virginia, which is really where I got my start in local government. And he's throwing out names like Guy Agner and Bob Noe, who were two of my colleagues back in Virginia. So, and they were his mentors. So I knew right away that we had something special going there. And he's going to do a delightful job. He's obviously colorful in many ways, and I think that's refreshing. And I think it'll be, I think the citizens will be delighted to see him and his personality. The interesting thing when I talk to all the people that I talk to, his references and read the newspaper reviews and those sorts of things, he's exponentially better than I ever was. And I know that he's going to do great things. He's going to help you diversify your economic base because he's skilled in that. He's especially skilled in organization. These are terms that I heard over and over again. A strong financial background. He's very supportive of the staff, the community, and he works well with others. He is his own man, so you need to be aware, and I heard that repeatedly, that he's going to be his own man. So sometimes I'm sure that you may end up doing what I said to you at the very beginning, and you all are heading that way. You may find yourself disagreeing in an agreeable way. I suspect that's what's gonna happen at times. But he's gonna be a guiding light for you. And as I say, I'm looking forward to see how that all turns out. I hope that you'll stay in touch with me in some way. Try to stay in touch with you and see how you're doing. Check on you from time to time. I may pop in to take advantage of this when Mr. Kendrick gets all these other amenities finished, for sure. And you're gonna say, well, you shut up about this. But one of the things that I have observed since I've been here, and I've worked with some outstanding staffs over the years, I've been blessed in that way. I've had a good team of department heads, in some cases division heads, and others. I've had great teams of people. And the one thing that I've learned is treating your people as your most important asset beyond equipment or buildings or anything else that you do will make your community so much better. They're motivated. They will work harder for you. And so, saying that, you have a staff that's on par with the best that I've ever had. All of them. Not bar any. Except maybe that police officer who pulled me over for turning the red. But I want you to please, I know your resources are limited, your financial resources are strained. People sometimes don't understand about salaries and compensation being paid to employees, but I sincerely hope and encourage you as you get into your budget amendment process early on, that you look at what's happened to your employees over the last couple of years. You don't want a revolving door of employees, and they're not threatening that by any means. But again, two things happened, not a criticism, things happened. They made sacrifices willingly so that you could take care of the comp time issue that built up that was going to be a liability because of the Fair Labor Standards Act. They made a sacrifice. They said, we'll forego our raises. Pretty impressive. Then, and I get it, and we've talked about this, but you at one time had a $200 per year payment per employee, as I understand it, for copay, supplements, and prescriptions. And I think it was going to cost the city like $1,800 a year. And many of the employees hadn't been using it. Okay, but those who needed it, needed it. And there are two ways to handle that. One is you simply look at your budget and you say, well, we only spent $1,400 this year, and we're not going to have new employees, and we had $1,800 budgeted. So you cut your budget the next year to $1,400. What happens to the money that you had budgeted? Goes back into your general fund and becomes reserve. So it's not like you're wasting the money. And just an honest opinion, do you really want to create a morale problem over $200? I don't think so. Especially given the kind of employees that you have. So I'm not preaching to you, but I kind of am. Try to do the best you can. And I know you had good reasons for doing it. I know their insurance premiums went up. But some costs are uncontrollable for employers now. And just take care of them, please, when you get around to debating. And the little things like a half day off mean something to the employees. Trust me. Little things like giving people candy mean something to employees. You just let them know that they care. Smallest number of employees I've ever managed. Largest number was 1,500. I know how employees think. I know what they do. And I know how they feel. And don't take what I'm telling you as criticism. It's an opinion that I share very deeply based on my experiences over all the years. Your employees are your most important asset. I'm closing by saying I'm humbled to have had the opportunity to has spent this special time with you all, individually and collectively. And I look forward not only to great things for the city, I look forward to great things from each one of you. And thank you for giving me the time to spend with you.
Thank you, Mr. Beckett.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Beckett. And I hope council will really take that advice into consideration as we are looking at the budget adjustments in January. I think that's really important perspective and one that I share. Thanks, everyone. I think let's do the news blast. We've got some good news to share. Did you have any comments? Okay. You didn't look like you were chomping at the bit to say anything.
No, I'm trying to give you that look, though.
He is giving me that look and it's not working.
She can't be
I was
bullied.
trying.
Yes, actually.
Well, you're not getting. You're definitely not getting an interpretive dance.
So what are your plans after you leave us?
I've got a lot of family obligations I need to take care of right now. I really need to focus on that.
Well,
Thank you,
we
Susan.
wish you well.
Thank you. And I will miss y'all. This is a great little community. I tell everybody about it.
Mhm.
So
Thank
Yeah.
you.
y'all don't screw it up. And I cleaned that up a lot.
Thank you. All right, E-Blast. Mr. Goldberg. I think this will be, you did the last one
I
as
did.
well. And this is your new purview here. I'd love to announce the appointment of our new city manager and our new city attorney, Mr. Balch. I think we can also celebrate the fact that we're streaming. That'd be good to announce for anybody who doesn't know, and how to access that information. Those were the three things.
The
on
half
my
day on the
list.
31st.
Yep, that City Hall will close at noon on the 31st. Okay, any other?
I also included our hiring of our first public defender ever.
Great.
I thought that was something to acknowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And also our 2025 monthly calendar.
Mm-hmm.
So will that be put onto the webpage?
It will.
Okay. So
Great.
I'll be able to get a link to put in the newsletter then to where that's going to be?
Oh, sure. Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks.
Any other?
Chief, I had in my notes, you had mentioned to me Coffee with the Cop. Is that coming up? Has that happened? When would that be? Okay, thanks. That was my only other question. I would, again, just thinking of other things to recognize that the renovation of the courthouse is nearing completion and other public works projects being done. The bridges construction is continuing, weather permitting, wetlands.
Yes, also include thank yous to Mr. Beckett and Attorney Moore
Mm-hmm.
for their service.
Mr. Kendrick's got something.
I'm sorry.
Can you please put in about the bridge sites, active construction sites? We've had several people walk beyond the barriers and had to remind them that it's a liability for them to be, in there. Nicely though.
And harassing our construction workers. Just to be quite honest, just harassing those folks down there working that already have their scope of what they're doing and just getting in the way. So, and I've walked the area, it's kind of sketchy that we don't need anybody down there that could possibly get hurt.
Is there signage in place?
Yes, there's
Because,
signage, there's barricades, but
because these may not be residents, they might be visitors that, okay. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
There's
Okay.
signs, there's adequate signs.
Gotcha.
All right, anything else for the E-Blast? All right, do I have a motion to adjourn? All right,
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Great, Thank you. Just keeping thanks. Don't forget to turn off your mic.
Employee Christmas party?
Me and my girlfriend,
So yeah, are these gonna be on in the future, or?